Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird, true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 645, written by millenniumfalcore, The Quantum Ring. Preface. A little over a decade ago, I was married to a man, and in the throes of a struggle with anorexia, which in hindsight I think was inflamed by my inability and refusal to look at the fact that I'm gay. Needing to believe that staying in my marriage was the right thing to do, I began obsessing over a very specific and unusual ring I wanted for a vow renewal. I hadn't gotten a ring the first time. This was a quantum or fantasy-cut mystic topaz in white gold. That's important. Just to stress the point of how strange a ring it was, I used to work in fine jewelry and never saw one like it come through my store. Fast forward 10 or so years, past my reconciliation with my sexual orientation, my coming out, my recovery from anorexia, and marrying a woman, to June of last year. I was preparing to go on a camping trip with my wife and 2 friends, and was getting a couple loads of laundry done before we had to leave. I heard something rattling around in the dryer, but naturally I assumed it was a quarter or a button or something. When the cycle was done, I went to retrieve the clothes, and as soon as I opened the door, something fell onto the floor, a 3-carat quantum fantasy-cut mystic topaz ring in 14K white gold. Incidentally, it is 3 times too small. I have turned this around in my brain so many times, examining it from every possible angle. The specificity of it is something I've never been able to get over. This is the kind of ring you have made custom, and it fell out of my freaking dryer. It wasn't until today that it struck me. Could this have belonged to me in another timeline? One in which I never left my ex-husband, never came out, never recovered. One in which I continued losing weight, had the vow renewal, and would need this very specific ring to be 3 sizes smaller than the size I wear here and now. Though my wife thoroughly believes it to be pure coincidence, I can't accept that. It's too weird. My wife, before this, did not know about the ring, or at least it's very unlikely. To my recollection, I never mentioned it to her. It was tied to another life with another partner, and a very painful time, which I didn't even really like thinking about, let alone discussing. I myself had put it out of my mind. It wasn't until I found it that all those pictures I'd saved to my old computer came rushing back to me. My wife and I wear the same ring size, also same shoe size, so it's unlikely she would have mistakenly bought, or more likely ordered given how unusual the ring is, such a small size ring. In case anyone is wondering, the ring is a size 5.25, and my wife and I each wear 8.5. We also don't have the kind of money to make such purchases. My wife does not believe in manifestation and is one of the most honest and authentic people I've ever known, so I can't imagine she would lie about not recognizing it. I don't know what she would stand to gain from it. It's extremely unlikely that my ex purchased the ring for me before we split up, and it could not have been hidden in my clothes only to come loose from a pocket after all these years. My ex was not a gift giver anyways. I think the only gift he ever bought me was a paperback book for one birthday. He was not a fan of the idea of a vow renewal. And I think my having the idea of the ring was largely an obsession or personal fantasy to distract me from the internal crisis I was avoiding. Further, my style and size have changed dramatically since he and I were together. I can think of only one other garment that I still own now that I owned at the time back then, and it's an oversized t-shirt I sometimes sleep in, no pockets. On the same theme, I now live in a different house in a different town, and have since a few months after he and I split up. Case notes, file number 645. So isn't that curious? A little coincidence baked right in the name that the type of cut is quantum-based, and this is perhaps a quantum-based glitch, where that yes, I do agree that it makes sense if the other you in another universe that was still anorexic never recovered and was still with your ex in that universe, and eventually that ex bought her the ring that you were fantasizing about. But of course, 3 sizes smaller. I mean, it does fit. Now how the ring got to this universe, I don't know. Perhaps it is related to the dryer. I mean, it is dark in there. Maybe in the absence of light, it's possible to cross over. Maybe that's one reason we fear the dark so much instinctively. Oh, and by the way, good work on being brave enough to be honest with yourself. Case file number 646, written by Due Time 8151. A glimpse of the past. Every Saturday, I take my son to swimming lessons. Every week, it's a cluster getting there because this place is packed and chaotic. Every week, no matter how early I get there, finding parking is nearly impossible. Last Saturday, my parents offered to drop us off and pick us up since parking is so scarce and they have had a few errands to run in the area anyways. I happily accept their offer. They pulled us up right up to the entrance. I hopped out the back with my son's bag, went around to grab him from his car seat, and we were on our way. This Saturday, I was back on my own and happened to find a parking spot adjacent to the front entrance. I parked, grabbed my purse, and got out to get my son from the rear passenger side. On my way to the other side of the car, I saw my parents' car in the loading zone in front of the building. I was instantly confused, but before my mind could register anything further, the back door opens and it's me. Except it's me from last week. Same clothes and jacket I had on then. I got out with my son's bag and headed to the other side of the car. At that moment, a large van drove by, and when it passed, my parents' car was totally gone, and so was I. This all unfolded in no more than 5 seconds. However, I was so flustered and upset that I got back in my own car with my son and sat in the back seat with him for 20 minutes until I could compose myself. We missed swimming lessons and instead sat in the car and ate snacks and listened to music. I do not drink. I don't take any drugs or take any medication. I wasn't overly tired or upset or distracted that morning. I know what I saw and I'm freaked out. This wasn't a doppelganger. This was me last week. My husband has been treating me like I'm near a nervous breakdown since I've told him what happened and keeps asking me in different ways if I'm okay. I am totally fine and I know what I saw. Bonus file, written by zoexboey. Allow me to introduce you to my ghost cats. There has been a strange thing happening to me lately, and I'm not sure what exactly brought it on, but I think I may have several ghost cats living in my room. To preface, I've had many cats in my life, the most being 8 at a time, since I was little, so naturally I have had cats die, either from old age or illness. I've never felt anything like this before, however. It started recently. Several weeks ago, as I would be settling into bed, I would feel something walking around like one of my cats. However, when I looked to see if one of my cats was actually there, there's nothing. I thought it was just me at first. It kept happening, but I figured maybe it was just my imagination. Well, starting last week, I decided to see what would happen if I didn't look at whatever was walking around my bed, and what happened was very strange. Whatever this thing was kept moving up the bed closer to me, and eventually there would be more than one wandering the bed and on top of me too. I could feel the weight of them, whether they are laying on my legs or my chest. Sometimes I can feel one against my back or side, as I usually sleep without a shirt on. I can feel heat coming off of something against my skin. I can even feel them breathing, which is the biggest indication I know they're there. But also this tingling sensation when they walk by or touch my skin. Whenever I move, they go away. Whenever I look, they do too. At night now, whenever I lay down, they immediately come out, either to snuggle, to lay on my legs, or to walk around. I'm not afraid of them. If anything, I love them and never want them to go away. I discovered that I can also make them come out in the daytime if I ask them to while I'm laying down. I did this today. There was one on my chest as I could feel it, so I tried to pet it, and I could feel my hand moving through something, like a barrier to its body. I guess my whole hand felt like static. It's so strange, but it's fascinating. I really do love my ghost cats. Has anyone else experienced something like this? I heard it's quite a common experience.